Hey lovelies, Tony here from TL Yarn Crafts and welcome back. Now, do you ever look at your stash and go, that is just too much yarn? No? Yeah, me neither. That was a test and you passed. But I'm sure you could find at least a few skeins in your stash that you know you're not gonna use. And that's how I ended up with two giant boxes of yarn and yarny related things that I need to get rid of. I've been putting this off for months, but the time has finally come. Babes, your girl's got a destash. Destashing is simply rehoming those perfectly good skeins that just don't fit in your stash anymore. And I'm gonna walk you through my process step by step. Now, if all that sounds like a good time, make sure you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel. Operation 1 million subs is well underway and we are getting closer inch by inch, but I still need your help. So if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do it. It don't hurt nothing, but it helps me a lot. And before we take on a huge project like this, we have to properly caffeinate thanks to our cup of caffeine sponsor. I've been drinking mint tea all week to make sure this cup really hits. And today's cup of caffeine is brought to you by Lisa B. And when donating, Lisa said, I find your reviews refreshingly honest, your teaching method engaging, and your designs beautiful. Keep it up. Listen, Lisa, you ain't gotta tell me twice. I'm gonna keep it up just for you, baby. Now, if you like my videos and wanna support my channel, buy me a coffee. Who knows, I might shout you out in the next one. All right, loves, no more stalling. Let's get destashing. So that part is done. The area is prepped. And now that I'm looking at these big boxes, plus yarn over here that I want to get rid of and some samples and other things, I'm starting to wonder if I underestimated how much needs to essentially be inventoried, cataloged, and then put up for sale. I accumulate yarn in lots of different ways. I mean, yarn is sent to me. I came out with my own yarn, some of which does need to be destashed. I make a lot of samples and I hold on to my samples for a long while. I still have a lot of them. Nobody needs like 30 blankets. It's my favorite thing to make and I can only keep so many of them. A lot of which I use, they stay in my living room, but I don't need them all. I certainly don't need them all. So I've got these two giant boxes that I'm gonna start with and I'll essentially kind of start taking the yarn out of the boxes and I've got a spreadsheet that I'm going to complete with all of the information that I need to gather about each of these skeins so I can eventually list them all to sell in the destash. Okay, so now that the first batch of yarn is laid out, it's time to catalog it all and photograph it, and that's where this bad boy comes into play. I have a spreadsheet that I have used over the years for my destashes. It never changes, it's perfected now. I'll link to it down in the description. And for each yarn, I have to give it a lot number. I'm gonna give it a name, detail the weight, the yarn weight, so like category 3, 4, DK worsted, all that good stuff. Then I'm gonna put in the physical weight, because that's what I need to know to make sure my system can automatically decide how much postage to put on the yarn. Next comes the fiber content, then the yardage, then the approximate retail price. That'll take some research and is always the step that takes the longest, but I find that people appreciate knowing. Then I'll decide on the final price, and usually my formula for that is I'll take the approximate retail price, subtract somewhere between 20 and almost 40%, and then see how I feel about that number. If I think it should be a little more, I'll go that way. If I think it should be a little less, I'll go that way. It's more of an art than a science. You do whatever works for you. I'll also mention if the lot has a partial skein. And what that means is, let's say I was working on a project, I finish it, and there's some yarn left over that I plan to destash. So we don't have full 50 gram or 100 gram skeins, but there's enough that you could make something work. I'll put that into the lot and I'll document whether or not there are partial skeins. And if I don't say that there are partial skeins, you can assume that it's all full skeins of yarn. And lastly, this is a new category for me. I'll mention if the money earned from that lot is going to be donated or not. And the reason I do that is a lot of the yarn that I have has been gifted to me. And if that's the case, whether it came directly from a yarn company, a local yarn store, one of my yarn friends out in the world, I want to make sure the money from that goes to a great cause. It shouldn't go back in my pocket because I didn't pay for it. I like to disclose that to my customers just so they know where their money's going. To get all of this sorted out, I'm going to need my laptop, a scale, and my phone, and I've got that little backdrop down there to make sure all the skeins look oh so pretty. Going through this yarn, it's kind of a nice reminder of like how I came about some of these skeins. And while it's all perfectly good and I'm excited to destash it, there's definitely some nostalgia going on that I'm really indulging in. So for example, I have this far yarn. I've purchased this particular yarn like 4 times, promised myself every time I'm gonna use it this time. I destash it every time. It's really lovely. It's this amazing like super ultra merino wool, and it feels so nice. I've just never brought myself to cake them up and like actually put it in anything, so it's getting destashed once again. I also have these beautiful skeins from Ruby and Roses. I actually met Addie at Rhinebeck last year. She like stalked me down and was like, hey girl, I got something for you. Gave me some yarns, and then when I got home, she gave me some more, and I was so grateful. So I kept some of it, and I'm really excited to use some of the bulky weight yarn she gave me for a knit hat, but I've got 3 more really beautiful skeins that I'm excited to have a new home. And then there's this tea time yarn that I got from Hobie, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna do a yarn snap review for this. I'm gonna make a really cute project. Well, now it's the spring, and there's no way I'm gonna be using 100% acrylic that looks like wool this time of year. So since I know that there's gonna be other yarns for me to use in the fall, I'm gonna go ahead and destash this and let somebody else bring it to life. The first batch of yarn is done. I ended up with 22 lots out of that first box, and now I need to go to the second box. I'm really glad I started with the first box, so it feels like I'm further along than I was before, but we still have a whole lot to go. So let's get to it. Hey friends, and welcome to another day of destashing. And may I introduce you to my new pimple? She's the star of the show. Get it? It's a pimple patch. It's shaped like a star. Don't worry about it. To distract from said pimple, I am wearing my new heart-shaped glasses. So just look up here, not down here, and everything's gonna be cool. Now that the yarn has been categorized, it's time to move on to the other pieces within my stash that I know need to go, namely bags and samples. I'm gonna start with bags because there's a ton of them, and it's gonna break my heart to do this. Man, do I love a bag. I can go into a yarn store and not buy a yard of yarn, but if I'm gonna walk out with anything,
I'm leaving here with something.
It's probably gonna be a bag. And that's been my MO for a long time. So behind this curtain right here, there are a ton of bags. Let's get them all out and see what we're working with. Yeah, so this all got a little more out of control than I was expecting. I didn't even realize there were this many bags. There's something about moving into my new studio space where I just started kind of filling space with no real sense of like how much stuff was going in there. It's just, if I have the space, why wouldn't I fill it? But I'm ready to transition out of that, right? I know that's not for everybody. For some folks, it's like if you have a free shelf, you've got yarn space. I want to evolve out of that mentality. I want to get to a place where I've got a better understanding of everything that's in my stash, because even as I was pulling these bags out, I'm seeing stuff with tags still on it. Perfectly good bags that I'm sure I bought for a great reason, and they've just sat in my closet. And also, as much as I love bags, I know I don't need this many. There's no way I would have this many projects going at a time. Now I know what you're thinking, Tony, how many bags are there? Now I'm not gonna tell you. I want you to go down to the comments and guess, but I will say that I'm going to go through these bags and I want to get rid of at least 26 bags. That is my goal. There's definitely some brands and some bags I already know I am not going to be getting rid of these, but there are some that I saw that I'm like, yeah, I could stand to part with them. Let's start at the top and see what we can let go of. Bag purging actually ended up not being nearly as painful as I was expecting. I went through it pretty quickly, and you would be super duper proud of me. I got rid of way more than the original goal for bags. I actually got rid of 30, and I'd love to show you a few that I plan to destash and kind of my rationale behind them. First and foremost, I'm gonna let go of these TLYC bags. And these are just smaller project bags that you could put like extra notions or supplies or tags or even other projects in, which is all good and well, but I have plenty of bags. This gorgeous gal right here, that came with a snap bag in it. So I don't need to keep these. So I'm just gonna let these bad boys go. I also have this darling deep blue suede Hohi & Co bag, and it's really, really cute. I love the size of it. It has great pockets. Literally nothing wrong with this bag, but I've never used it. Never, not once. I've always just found other bags that I prefer. I think it's the shape of this one that didn't really grab me. It's a fantastic bag, but I'm gonna let it go. Hopefully it'll be loved by someone else. In my line of work, you end up with a lot of promotional tote bags. So I've gotten these from We Crochet. This one is from Barocco Woven Art Yarn Shop. Really fantastic shop in Lansing. You absolutely have to go. And this one is from the Webs Knitting Retreat. Really nice, huge, gorgeous tote bag. But how many tote bags does a girl need? Not this many. So these absolutely have to go. Perfectly good for project bags, but I just have too many of these in my stash. Now there's a whole bunch of bags that I did decide to keep, and here are a few of my absolute favorites. Firstly, I had to keep every single one of my snap bags. Now I've been saying it for years, you're probably sick of hearing it by now, but these are some of my absolute favorite bags in the entire world. Oh, this is the really cute one I got for Valentine's Day this year. Instead of zippers or pockets here at the top, you've got snaps, and these are some of the most satisfying snaps to snap. Here, I'm gonna snap them so you can hear them. You hear that? Oh my gosh, it's so good. So I love the snapbacks because you can see through them. They're durable. They are flexible. You can put them inside of bigger project bags. So I'm going to hold on to all of those, especially now that they have nice gusseted ones. I'm trying my best not to buy any more, but I won't hold myself to that promise. In addition to my O snap bags, I also have a pretty big collection of Black Pearl Magic bags. My most recent acquisitions of these have been my treat to myself at Rhinebeck. So at Cake Palooza, one of the events that happens the day before Rhinebeck, the Black Pearl Magic stand is set up and you have to get there early or she will run out of stuff. So I've got bags in different sizes. Clearly I like these medium-sized ones. They just work out really well for the types of projects I end up working on. And then I have this one much bigger one and I love the clearness of it, but it's also glittery and it has this really amazing zipper. Her zippers are always just they're just so good. I'm also keeping both of my Fringe Supply Co bags. They don't make these bags anymore. They do now sell the pattern so you can sew it yourself, but I don't sew, honey, I crochet. So I'm holding on to these. I was originally planning to destash this one. This is the lovely limited edition one that was in collaboration with Jen Hewitt, who is a fantastic maker. And I was gonna destash it because I have this brown one, which was my original one. I've covered it in all my favorite pins, but just look at this bag. It's so pretty. And I got this as one of the last bags that was available. So I just can't let it go. I gotta hold on to it. Bag purge is done and I'm feeling real good about it. You know what, if I'm being honest with you, I'm putting on a very brave face right now, but I don't think I'll ever recover from getting rid of my bags. They are my pride and joy, but it was getting out of hand. Like I can see it from both sides and I'm glad that I did it, but I'm not glad that I had to do it. So from here on, I'm gonna try and be a little bit more conscious of what bags that I add to the collection because I just do not want to have to go through this again. It's just far too traumatic. I can't let this happen again. But now that the bags are purged, we have one final collection to go through, and that is my sample collection. So these are the things that I've made either for myself or sometimes for designs and to take photos of, and they just happen to pile up over time. Now it's time to go through what's absolutely necessary to keep and what can actually stand to be destashed. So here's a quick look at a few of the items that I'm going to be getting rid of. First up is going to be a few of the pieces from my Happy Place collection. This is the yarn that I developed with Hobie last year. So exciting. And I got to make 8 gorgeous pieces for that collection, some of which I just have extras of, and I'm ready for them to have a new home. I'm really excited for somebody to get their hands on the original Fairy Dust Cardi. This is the one that my mom designed. Tell me she did not kill it. It is so stinking cute, and I hope somebody will love this in their wardrobe. Now, this cute little thing is a sweater that I made for Rhinebeck, but I did not finish on time, so it became a cropped sweater. I don't care that it wasn't done, your girl was still styling, okay? I had the immense pleasure of testing the Crescent Moon shawl, and I got to use some lovely yarn that I received in an advent. Oh, these colors are to die for. This is my original sample of the Tunisian Holiday Sampler, which is a great sampler blanket where you get to try out 20 different stitches and patterns. I've been reimagining what a new iteration of this might look like so the old sample can go to a new home. This is the Matilda Afghan. You know I love anything that is granny square or granny square adjacent, and these linen stitch squares are beyond amazing. It uses Hue and Me yarn with a little bit of wool, so it's so great. And the nice thing about this blanket is it comes with a matching pillow. Oh my gosh. And it's set up so you can remove the pillow form, which you will receive if you purchase this set. Go ahead, get it. You know you want this. Listen, I know I've been whining a lot through this, but honestly, getting rid of stuff is hard. You form attachments with these yarn and with these projects and with these bags that you've spent a lot of time acquiring. And it also doesn't help when the entire maker community is collectively screaming, buy more yarn, like every 5 seconds. But there really is something therapeutic about pulling that stuff out of their hiding spaces to give them a new home, and also getting rid of things that are no longer serving you. We are constantly evolving, right? As makers makers and as people. So it's not so far-fetched to believe that something you purchased a few weeks, months, or even years ago just doesn't fit your vibe anymore, and it's totally fine to let it go. I really do hope that this video has encouraged you to destash some of the things that are no longer serving you within your craft life. Maybe there's yarn that you just know you're never going to use, or maybe you got some canvas tote bags as part of a promotional yarn thing. Wherever the stuff came from and however long you've had it, it is never too late to get rid of it if you don't need it anymore. If you need some ideas for how to get rid of your own stuff without starting a small business and setting up your own website, here are a few ideas to destash your own yarn. The first and best suggestion I can give you is to just use what's in your stash. Go in there and find things that you can put into projects. And maybe those are projects that you make for charity, so once you're done with them, you can pass on that finished project. Another easy way to destash is gift the yarn to friends, family, or organizations that can use it. Nursing homes, after-school programs, homeless shelters, all of them could use your leftover craft supplies. Make sure you call them first and just double check what their protocols are. You can also sell your yarn in destash groups. There are dedicated groups around the internet for people to post yarn that they have for sale and for people to purchase yarn from one another. Now, I know that the destash groups on Facebook aren't what they used to be, but I've found some really good ones on Reddit and Discord that you should check out. You can also sell your yarn on eBay. If I remember it correctly, there are no listing fees on eBay. You only pay a fee once your item actually sells, but make sure you do your own research. A really fun way to get rid of some yarn is to do a craft swap. Now, I used to do these out in Columbus all the time, and they were so much fun. You get you and a bunch of your crafty friends together, and you all bring in your extra supplies. Put them on a big table in the middle of the room, and folks can take whatever they want. Whatever is left over goes to a local organization that can use those craft supplies, and everybody leaves happy. Now, if you happen to see something in this video that you like and you want to take some of this yarn, bags, and projects off of my hands, I would greatly appreciate it. So the TL Yarn Crafts Big Destash of 2024 is going down on Monday, May 6th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be on my site, tlyarncrafts.com. Now, you can sign up on my newsletter to get a preview link ahead of time. All of the items will be listed there, so you'll know what's available ahead of them going live. That's going to be a really fun time, and I hope you'll join us for that. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.